What if one of the greatest assassins in the world decided to just quit his job one day? No big speech, no epic betrayal, he just decides he'd rather hang out with a talking suit and a fedora, chasing bounties instead of making corpses. That's Black Cat in a nutshell, a shonen magazine about Train Heartnet, an ex-assassin who walks away from a secret organization built on murder and somehow ends up smiling again. But don't let that smile fool you. Behind every joke, there's a bullet waiting to go off. Train used to be a member of Kronos, number 13, a human weapon also known as Black Cat, with his signature weapon, Hades, a gun that never missed. And someone doesn't just become a cold-blooded killer one day. Train has gone through numerous horrible things to get to where he is, and at this point, his conscience is long gone. But then he meets a girl, one named Saya, a cheerful bounty hunter or a sweeper, who teaches him that he has a choice, something that he's never really been given before. And that changes everything, because what he takes away from Saya is she is free, and that's something he never knew he needed. But when she shows him this, he becomes the happiest he's ever been in his life, and she dies for it. She's killed by Train's not jealous, not ex-boyfriend, Creed. And Creed's Train's unhinged former partner who thinks he's saving Train by killing her. And that was the first and last slash. It was the wound the entire series bleeds from. After this, Train leaves Kronos behind, swearing to never kill again and becoming a sweeper just like Saya, a bounty hunter who chases down outlaws, debts, and people who seek redemption. And on this journey of being a sweeper, Train meets two important people. Finn, the stylish ex-cop with a future-seeing eye, and Eve, a genetically engineered girl who can turn her body into weapons. Together they take on odd jobs, eat instant noodles, and accidentally get dragged into a war with Train's ex, Creed, and his new cult, the Apostle of the Stars. Creed wants Train back. Even though he's never had him, regardless, Train just wants to live free. And that at itself is the core of this story. One man's obsession that leads to control versus one man's need for freedom that leads to peace. So by the end, Black Cat becomes not just about bullets, but about beliefs, a fight between control and chaos, and the kind of peace you can only earn by walking away from violence. And when you realize that, Black Cat stops being just another cool anime series. It becomes a story about how hard it is to live with your past when you've already buried your future. So yeah, this isn't just an anime about assassins with cat eyes, cool black weapons, and Roman numerals, with the weird dash of BL in there, maybe or maybe not. It's a story about how even the deadliest people can learn how to smile again. And so by the end of this video, I'm hoping to show you how Black Cat, ironically enough, became the underdog of Shonen Jump you probably forgot existed. So hey, I'm Remy, and I just want to know if anyone's checked on Black Cat, and if not, let's. The story of Black Cat began long before its official debut in Weekly Shonen Jump. Its creator, Kentaro Yabuki, had long been experimenting with the ideas of morality, freedom, and redemption long before Train ever picked up his iconic gun. With serialization in Weekly Shonen Jump from July 2000 to June 2004, the series ran for a solid 4 years, later being collected into a 20-volume tankobon published by Shueisha. But that's all about the after. Before this, Kentaro first introduced a prototype version of the story in a one-shot titled Stray Cat. In its earlier concepts, Train and Finn weren't bounty hunters but delivery men, with even reoccurring concepts like POW and sweepers, which would only later get defined in the full series, but it's really cool to see where he started off with the original idea for Black Cat. Kentaro is also noted to have drawn inspiration from his earlier manga, Yamato Gensoki, particularly its focus on assassins turning against their organization, and the concept of manipulating life energy or chi. When it comes to Black Cat, he refined all these themes and ideas, aiming for a story that balances fast-paced action that questions identity and purpose. And interestingly enough, Kentaro actually saw Black Cat as a part one of a much larger story, and which after you find that out, you get kind of sad because, well, it's 2025 and that never happened. He's been on, we could say the Goon Squad for a while, so we ain't never got Black Cat V2, and that just kind of low-key really sucks. And while he's never given us a direct sequel, he has always expressed his love for these characters, hinting that Train and Eve may even return in future projects, which, like, technically, low-key, they already exist in another project of his, and we will get to that eventually. It's just a real shame we never got a Black Cat shipped in or something else. Regardless, it just would have been cool. But on a fun/cool note, critics and fans of life have always drawn parallels between Black Cat and works like Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, for their unique tone of gunslinging cool mixed with emotional introspection. And don't get me wrong, Black Cat still managed to carve out its own identity, going up against these other two incredible gunslinging stories, thanks to a blend of Kentaro's humor, sleek art, and sharp storytelling. And not to mention, even with his more successful series, To Loveru, also carries echoes of Black Cat. Admittedly, It's pretty aggressively obvious the nods that he put in the series to Black Cat, which don't get me wrong, it's really cool to see our favorite cat-eyed gunslinger and nanomachine child weapon, but at the same time, if we gave him a whole new series about Black Cat, that'd be super cool, because if I'm being completely honest with you, To Loveru was never my favorite series of all time, because I'm not really moving like that, to be completely honest with you. So if you like it, you know, more power to you. It just was never my cup of tea. But seeing Golden Darkness just being EV2 was like, all right, but could we just have Eve back? Or having Koro, and it's like, oh, Koro's cool, and that's just Train in a different outfit. But he's in this series, and now I don't really care to read it. So, you know, it was never really for me. But even without a direct continuation, Black Cat remains one of those rare shonen titles that bridges eras. With its stylish mix of early 2000s action energy and its timeless questions about freedom, redemption, and what it really means to live your life on your own terms. And I just brought him up, but I want to go a bit more onto Kentaro, so let me talk about him a little bit. So in hindsight, Kentaro's career is kinda crazy. Kentaro is one of those rare manga artists whose name is instantly recognizable across genres for good or bad reasons depending on who you ask, from action-packed shonen adventures to chaotic romantic comedies. Best known for creating Black Cat and illustrating To Loveru, his career showcased just how versatile and adaptive a manga artist can be given the right motivation. Before making his way into Weekly Shonen Jump, Kentaro trained under one of manga's greatest artists, Takeshi Obata, the illustrator behind Death Note and Hikaru no Go. Hikaru no Go video win. Shout out to anybody else who thought they could play Go from reading this and instead just played chess like I did. Okay. This mentorship helped refine Kentaro's technical precision and sense of pacing, which became a hallmark of his later works, which somehow translates into drawing really good fan service. How does that translate? You know what? You could ask someone smarter than me, because I'm not the one. Kentaro is often credited Akira Toriyama as his greatest artistic inspiration, which, you know what, my guy knows ball, you love to see it, because goats recognize goats. Even going so far as saying Dragon Ball was a series that taught him first how to draw manga, which if you look at his artwork from Black Cat when he was doing action series, you can honestly see that influence. From his clean action lines to the expressive kinetic energy from its fight scenes. While it's not the most over-the-top nods, it's really cool to see how Akira Toriyama's work has influenced a generation just from making something as simple as Dragon Ball, and that's always really cool to see, because I know everyone wants to put, oh, One Piece, Bleach, and Naruto as Dragon Ball Z successors. It don't get me wrong, obviously they are the big three, but it's really cool to say other series like, hey, no, dude, Dragon Ball inspired me to do this also, and it's just always really cool to see in my opinion. But after his mentorship, his professional career began with great promise when he won the 14th Tenkaichi Manga Award in 1997 for his one-shot Moondust. And just a year later, he would launch his first serialized series and other popular works to follow. Up first, we have Yamato Gensoki from 1998. Kentaro's debut serialization blended mythology, storytelling with action-heavy fantasy and laying out the groundwork for the themes he would later explore in Black Cat, followed by obviously Black Cat, which we're talking about in this video, so you know, stay tuned for that one. While you're here, stay tuned, don't forget to like and subscribe and all the cool stuff, we got more in the pipeline. As the Black Cat would come to Loveru in 2006 to 2009. Partnering with writer Saki Hasemi, Kentaro would illustrate this popular romantic comedy about a high school boy whose life turns upside down after meeting an alien princess. After that would be the sequel series, To Loveru Darkness from 2010 to 2017. And this one is the real mature one, to say the least. In this sequel series, he took a more provocative approach for sure, just letting whatever happens in the series. And you know what? As much as I don't understand it personally, it worked for him. This is his longest running series, hands down, and clearly his most successful. So, like, I don't get the hustle, but like, you know what? I respect it. It's not really for me. Once again, I respect the hustle regardless. And after that would be Darling in the Franxx from 2018 to 2020. He illustrated the manga adaptation of this very popular anime, which in hindsight, if you ever seen Darling in the Franxx, it makes sense that they chose him to be the artist. Because that is right up his alley. But, you know, if you like mechs, fan service, well, this is the anime/manga for you. So if you want to, go ahead and watch it or read it. It's up to you. And finally, we have his most recent series, Ayakashi Triangle from 2020 to 2023. This would mark his return to writing and illustrating his own series since Black Cat. This series was a blend of supernatural battles with romantic comedy, since that's literally what he's been doing for like the last 10 years. So he just kind of put it all together in this series. And if you did read it, let me know. I actually never read this one, so I don't actually have a very strong opinion on it. So if it's really good, let me know in the comments and I'll maybe pick it up in my free time. So hi, post recording / in the middle of editing Remy. I read it. It wasn't for me. I see why it kind of got a short run. Yeah, don't get me wrong, you can still tell me if you like it in the comment section and I'll definitely look at it, but for me personally, it wasn't hitting. It just wasn't hitting what I needed for a good series. Okay, Back to the video now. Bye! And don't get me wrong, Kentaro himself is not flawless. A criticism a lot of people like to use against him is he reuses characters in newer ways. And for those who've seen my Rave Master video, I brought this up when we were talking about Hiro Mashima and his use of the star system. And I'm gonna make a guess here, but I'm assuming he's doing something like that when it comes to reusing characters like Train and Eve. Like I mentioned earlier, Kuro is literally just Train and 2 Loveru. I mean, literally, Kuro just means black in Japanese. It's honestly the loudest silent nod you'll ever see to another series. And I'm about to say something that gets a little bit wicked, but I feel like I have to bring it up just for context reasons. So, behind the scenes in Kentaro's personal life, the reason why 2 Loveru became so aggressively horny in the spin-off was a lot of people speculated it was due to his wife cheating on him in a very public fashion and then trying to sue him for character rights and ownership of the series because one of the main female leads was based off of her. And that was like a whole messy thing. Like, she was trying to take this man's daughter and she was hooking up with a high schooler. It was a whole thing. It's really like, yo, what y'all got going on over there? But, you know, it all got settled, and thankfully, you know, he's married again. He has, like, 2 other kids, and he's chilling for the most part. But that's why 2 Loveru Darkness happened. A lot of people theorize because he just was like, this is how I'm going to deal with this, is becoming super gooner. And you know what? Like, I'm not going to tell a man how to deal with somebody cheating on you. If that's how you got to deal with it, go ahead. Because, like, who am I to tell you that's not how you're supposed to deal with that? Because that's a really horrible situation. So, you know what? I can't say it's the healthiest way, but you know what? Go off King, because it worked for him, I guess. So with all that being said, Kentaro's career has spanned over 2 decades, and through all of it, he's proved that great manga can evolve just like its creator, adapting, experimenting, and never staying in one box for too long. Unless it's that Gooner box, because that Gooner box got him some money. So you know what? I ain't mad at it, but it's just, he been in that box for a while. I keep saying box and Gooner in the same sentence, which is crazy. That's crazy. Okay. On to the next topic. When it comes to Black Cat, it didn't do something as simple as just run in Weekly Shonen Jump. No, what it did was much more impressive. It debuted during one of the most stacked eras in manga history, or as I'm gonna call it during this part and be as overdramatic with it as I can with the name, during the era of giants. From July 2000 to June of 2004, Kentaro's story about an ex-assassin finding freedom ran alongside some of the biggest names the magazine would ever host. With Shueisha handling the publishing and all the rights over there in Japan, Viz Media got it over here in America, and Madman Entertainment got it in Australia and New Zealand, proving that even a mid-tier Jump series in Japan can feel massive overseas. But hold on, let's be 100% honest real fast. Calling Black Cat mid-tier isn't me dissing it in the least. In the lineup it was going up against when it was running in Weekly Shonen Jump, that's like saying you're a decent singer in a band with Beyonce, Freddie Mercury, and Adele. Because if you don't know, here's what Black Cat was sharing the magazine with. You got One Piece, 1997 to present. You got Naruto, 1999 to 2014. You got Hunter x Hunter or Hunter x Hunter from 1998 to present. Bleach from 2001 to 2016. Death Note from 2003 to 2006. Eyeshield 21 from 2002 to 2009. Gintama from 2014 to 2019. This list is so stacked, it doesn't even make sense. So, Black Cat was running alongside these giants during the era where Weekly Shonen Jump was firing at all cylinders, pumping out generational defining stories every other week. But rather than fading into the background, Black Cat carved out its own niche, offering slick, Muir-inspired alternative to the loud, world-saving energy of its peers. In short, Black Cat wasn't the biggest name in Jump, but during this era of giants, it earned its stripes by being cool, quiet, and one you shouldn't sleep on. A cool thing about the themes and philosophy found in Black Cat, if Black Cat had a soul, it'd be caught between a bullet and a bell, the sound of violence clashing with the calls for freedom. At its core, the story isn't just about assassins and bounty hunters, it's about breaking the leash life tries to put on you and learning how to live life on your own terms. Freedom versus destiny. That's what Train's journey is all about finding out what freedom actually means. At the start, he's not a person, he's a weapon, just another loyal dog of Chronos, carrying out orders without question. But then he meets Saya, the stray cat, who lives by her own rules. She doesn't fight for justice or for vengeance, well, she just lives. And her living by her own rules sparks something in Train that he never knew, and that sets him free. But his story is also about rebellion. But not against an organization, but against the ideas that your past decides your future. But on the other hand, you have Creed, who's the cautionary tale. He calls Train his light, but in reality, He just wants them chained up again, doing what he feels Train does best. It's not out of a sense of duty, but something rooted in a twisted obsession. Creed wants control, Train wants a choice, and their entire conflict, well, centers around that, honestly. Clashing together in one long, bloody argument. And on a less serious tone, another moral of the story is, when somebody asks you out, make sure they understand when you say no, it's understood by both parties. Because if it isn't, the other party might kill your girlfriend, who's actually not your girlfriend, and then stalk you for the rest of his natural born life. Another overarching theme found in Black Cat is the possibility of redemption. Saya teaches Train a radical idea that living is actually harder and braver than dying for your sins. Because if you haven't noticed if you read Black Cat, it's not really about revenge or even punishment, it's about moving forward, even when you hate the road you're on. And so by the end of the story, when Train finally defeats Creed, he doesn't kill him, he spares him. Because death is too easy. No, living in the world you try to destroy, that's the real punishment. It's poetic, sure, but it's also brutal in its own way. Another core theme is the power of connection and empathy. Train's story starts in isolation. No family, no warmth, just a guy that killed his parents, and then he dies, and then it's just order and then corpses. And during that entire time frame, he never really made any connections. But here comes Finn, the world's most fashionable older brother/dad figure, and Eve, the child weapon who learns how to feel. Together they form a found family that becomes the emotional center of the story. Their dynamic proves that even people built for destruction can learn compassion, if they're shown enough of it. And in a really cool way, Eve's transformation is in a way a perfect mirror to Train's. She goes from machine to a person, because someone cared enough to show her that she was more than what she was made for. And through it all, Saya's kindness echoes in Train's every choice. Her brief time in the series and on screen leaves a bigger and longer impact than most protagonists get in this entire series, honestly. She's proof that even small acts of kindness can completely change somebody's life, even a killer. It's the good, the evil, and the shades in between. And that's what makes Black Cat so interesting in my opinion. It's never painted its world as black and white, it's more shades of gray. Kronos kills for order, Train kills for peace, Creed kills for freedom. So who's a good guy here? Well, it's obviously not Creed, but you get what I'm saying. Kronos might kill to keep the world stable, but their methods are terrifying. The Apostle of the Stars claim they're liberating humanity, but they're honestly just another form of tyranny. And somewhere in the middle of that stands Train. Not pure, not perfect, but man is he trying. But if you couldn't tell, that's the entire point of Black Cat. It's not about being righteous, it's about being human. Flawed, hurt, hopeful, and still choosing to walk forward. Because true freedom isn't about escaping your past, it's about living with it and still daring to smile. And is that not really cool? But what's also really cool are the powers. If Black Cat had a battle philosophy, it'd be this: your powers isn't just what you do, it's who you are. Every weapon, ability, and transformation in this series is tied directly to a character's identity. Because the aesthetics aren't just cool for the sake of it, but they are cool, they are also saying something. They show the fine line between humanity, obsession, and freedom. Before they get flashy with their energy blasts and nanotech being whatever, Black Cat keeps it rooted, grounded in pure technique. Because off rip, Train isn't superhuman technically. He's got his super assassin skills, but besides from that, he's just a regular dude with a crazy gun. Just your generic shonen hero. His power isn't magic or even nanotech technically at this point, it's mastery. For example, his pistol Hades is his soul manifested in metal. Cold, precise, and silent, but looks sick as all get out. Not to mention, Train's so fast, even Tau users kind of fear him. But then he changes. When Train walks away from Kronos, he puts more than his gun away. He abandons the identity that turned him into the ghost, into the Black Cat. He takes off his bell, sheds the Black Cat persona, and starts living by his own terms. Therefore, the visual shift isn't just an aesthetic, it's symbolic. The assassin becomes human, the weapon becomes free, and he might be weaker for it, but eventually he gets nanotech. And nanotech is just an end-all be-all in this series. I'm a rant about nanotech later, but nanotech, man, it's just, okay. Up next, you have Spin, the fighter with brains and not bronze. His foresight eye lets him see into the future by a few seconds. Not enough to rewrite time, but enough to make a plan. He's the kind of guy who wins fights with gadgets, great timing, and a cool two-piece suit. My boy got that on, I'm not gonna lie to you. And then there's Eve, the literal embodiment of technology meeting emotion. She's a bioweapon made of nanomachines, capable of reshaping her body at will. Also, this is a mini nanomachine rant. Yo dog, I think I hate nanomachines in media. Legitimately, we've gotten to the point where nanomachines are just magic. I don't care what you say, they are just borderline magic. Oh, I made this super advanced thing. How'd you do it? Nanomachines. Yep, that's how. You just made that out of nothing. No, it's nanomachines. You just couldn't see them. They're super tiny. Let's just call a spade a spade. It's just magic. Don't lie to me and say, oh, it's not magic. It's super advanced, tiny robot. Shut up. Shut up talking to me. It's just magic. I'm tired. I'm tired of the stupid, oh, I've got a nanomachine suit that came out of thin air. It's just magic. Okay. I'm not gonna do a whole rant on this, but I just don't like it. I don't really care for it in this series. It's not as bad in this series because, granted, when this came out, nanomachines weren't super mainstream and everywhere in media, but like, I'm so sick of the little robots doing everything and everybody's like, oh, it's just nanomachines. Like, shut up. Okay, that's it. Ran over. Back to Eve. Her hair becomes blades, her skin turns into steel, and she sprouts wings out of nothing. And even with all that power, her journey isn't about domination, it's about expression. Because at first, Eve's blank face and monotone voice match her mechanical body perfectly. But as she grows throughout the show, she learns to find her human elements she had long forgotten. Slowly, she learns about creativity, using her powers not out of programming, but out of choice. And that's it for our main trio. Now we gotta talk about Creed and his imaginary blade. At first, it's really cool looking. It's a clean energy blade from his sword hilt. But as the series progresses, it merges into his arm, twisting and mutating the blade with him. And throughout the course of the story, it becomes more monstrous, realizing it's not just an evolving weapon, it's his madness taking form. And as for his followers, the Apostle of the Stars, their abilities to some extent reflect their inner worlds. For example, Shiki's Tao manifests as insect-like creatures with mysticism and other ritualistic evil spells. Another example would be Durham, who channels his energy into his bullets, turning every shot into an extension of his will practically. And in another sense, it's a dark mirror to Train's disciplined gunmanship. And as the story goes on, Tao becomes more than a power system. It develops into a window into the other person's psyche. Every ability is a confession in its sense. So yeah, in the end, be it mastery, be it future sight, be it Tao, be it nanomachines doing stupid stuff, the powers in Black Cat aren't just flashy tricks for fight scenes, they're character blueprints. Physical manifestations of trauma, redemption, obsession, and hope. Train's bullets, Creed's blades, Eve's shifting body, they all tell the same story in different languages. That the real battle isn't against other people, it's against what's inside of you. And that's why Black Cat stands out even today, because beneath the style and the cool factor, every punch, shot, and transformation has something human to say about it, whether it be good or bad. And as I keep reiterating this point, at the core of Black Cat lies a battle ideology just as much as it does firepower, whether it's loyalty, freedom, or morality, clashing between assassins, revolutionaries, or even bounty hunters. This story revolves around Train and his allies, who find themselves standing against Train's not ex-boyfriend Creed, and his fanatical group, the Apostle of the Stars. So first up, we got our MC, Train, once feared as Chronos number 13, aka the Black Cat. Train was an elite assassin whose name struck terror across the underworld, but after meeting Saya, his worldview shifted and he abandons his role as a killer and freely lives as a sweeper afterward. A bounty hunter chasing justice on his own terms, with his gun, Hades, and a bell on his choker to serve as a constant reminder of the life he left behind and the redemption he's still chasing. Then we have Sven, a former detective turned sweeper. He's the brains and mostly the moral backbone of the group. And my guy is always just like a gentleman, and strangely enough, he balances out Train's reckless energy with discipline and compassion. And with his ability to see into the future, he's as strategic as he is compassionate. A man more defined by his heart than his strength. And then there's a little sister of the group, Eve. A genetically engineered girl infused with nanomachines, Eve was designed as a living weapon, initially cold and emotionless, but thanks to her journey with her newfound family, she learns individuality and empathy. During the course of that journey, she realizes she doesn't always have to make blades, she can even make wings. And then we have Rinslet, a master thief for hire and occasional ally. She moves between moral gray areas with charm and wit. Though normally motivated by profit and adventure, she often finds herself pulled into Train's orbit, proving that even self-serving people can find purpose in unlikely friendships. And finally, we have Saya, a free-spirited sweeper whose compassion and morality inspires Train to abandon assassination altogether. Her brief but impactful role changes the entire trajectory of his life, turning Black Cat from a tale of revenge into one of redemption. And okay, with the good guys done and dusted, let's talk about the other side. You have Chronos. Their purpose is to maintain world balance, through murder if necessary. A secret organization controlling a third of the global economy, Kronos enforces stability through the shadows with their assassins, the Kronos numbers. And then you have the Apostle of the Stars. Their purpose is to create a new world free from control by destroying the old one. Didn't even ask if anyone else wanted that to happen, they just kind of like, yeah, we're gonna do it, which is honestly just selfish. And honestly, that just tracks considering their founder is Creed. But the cool thing about this group is they use something called Tau, which is honestly in this universe magic, but it's really cool how they frame it. And last but not least, you have the Sweepers. Their purpose is to capture criminals for bounties and maybe just a bit of justice along the way. And unlike Kronos or the Apostle of the Stars, Sweepers aren't bound by ideology. They're independent, self-motivated, and often morally ambiguous. And for our main characters, that's exactly what they need. Bounty hunting becomes less about money and more about atonement, a way to carve out a purpose in this chaotic world, and sometimes that's just what people really need is a purpose. Okay, so with that done, let's actually talk about the plot now. We have our main character Train, who used to be known and feared by a name Black Cat, or Kronos number 13, an elite assassin who never missed his mark and never showed emotion. Life was simple: kill, report, repeat, and that was all he needed. Well, until he meets Saya, a cheerful bounty hunter who lives by her own rules. Saya treats Train like a person and not a weapon. Her kindness and carefree spirit plant a seed of doubt in him that maybe, just maybe, he doesn't want to be a killer anymore. And for the first time, Train chooses to let someone live instead of taking their life. But that decision comes with consequences, i.e. Creed, Train's unstable ex-partner. He becomes obsessed with the idea that Saya has corrupted him in some sense. Consumed by jealousy and a twisted devotion, Creed kills Saya. An act meant to free Train, but instead shatters him completely. And all I can say when he did this was, what was the end goal? Like, I'm gonna be so for real. You killed Train's not girlfriend, and what do you expect him to be like, oh, yeah, thanks, Creed. That evil woman had me thinking I could be a person. Thank you for saving me, Creed, from her wild female charms. However, will I thank you? Will I become your best friend forever because you smoked the person I may have had feeling for? Thank you so much, Creed. All I needed was a bullet and gun smoke. Thank you so much. Like, it was so stupid. Creed's so freaking stupid. I hate, bro, Creed irks me so much. And for like the love of everything, what was the end goal, Creed? I just need to know, what was your plan for after you smoked this chick? I've got a headache. Anyway, after this incident in the alley, heartbroken and disgusted, Train abandons Kronos, his assassin title, and everything that ties him to his old life. And after this event, the story picks up 2 years later. Train is a completely different person. The once cold-hearted killer is now a carefree sweeper, i.e. a bounty hunter, working alongside his straight-laced partner, Sven, a former detective with a strong moral compass and a knack for planning. And during one of their missions, they rescue Eve, a young girl engineered as a bioweapon with nanomachines running throughout her veins. And what starts as a simple job turns into something more, a found family built on second chances. But just as Train thinks he's outrun his past, he's forced into a Scott Pilgrim moment when Creed reappears. More powerful and unhinged than ever, rocking a knockoff Krollo fit, now the leader of a cult-like group called the Apostle of the Stars. Creed's new mission to recreate the world and bring back the assassin version of Train to rule by his side. So it's Train Pilgrim versus his not evil ex's friends. That's so stupid, but like, come on, it's what it is. It's Scott Pilgrim versus the world. As Creed's revolution spreads chaos, Train and his friends are pulled into the conflict. This war isn't just about saving the world, it's about Train saving himself from, well, himself. Because Creed's been taunting him at every turn, trying to drag him back into his old ways. Essentially, Creed is the Goblin Mask from that last Spider-Man movie. Just tell him, hey, come back. Put on the Air Forces. Run the ones with everybody. I want the smoke. Creed is the worst. Oh my gosh. Constantly reminding him of Saya's death and vengeance he could easily claim. Except he couldn't because Creed has taken God nanomachines and he really can't die at this point. And by the final battle, with Creed being near immortal and mutating through the machines and becoming less human and more mad as time goes on, Train still refuses to put him down. He doesn't cross the line. Instead of killing Creed, he defeats him without pulling the trigger, proving that mercy takes more strength than murder. And with Ede's help, Creed's immortality is stripped away, forcing him to face life with consequences of his own actions. And then when the dust settles, Train and everybody else walk away together, not as an assassin, an experiment, or a former detective, just a found family who finally found their freedom. Black Cat begins as a story about death, but ends on asking people to find a reason to live. proving that even the most broken people can choose a different path. And that's a pretty cool ending, but that's also really just in the manga. In the anime, they do things just a little bit different, unfortunately. The manga starts after the storm, 2 years after Train left Kronos, or we're introduced to the man after the trauma, pretty much. And we only find out about Creed and Kronos slowly throughout the course of the story, rather than upfront like they did in the anime. And on note of the anime, we start off seeing Train still working for Kronos, still cold and lethal, which gives us a more direct look at how Saya melts the ice around his heart. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they started there, it's just a faster and flashier way compared to the manga. And not to mention, the anime also had an original ending because it had the problem that every other shonen anime had at the time, that the story was still going, but the anime needed to finish up, so they had to make up something, which, you know, hit or miss depending on who you ask. I think it's a miss personally because they have some very convenient things happen, and some of the concepts are cool, but overall, I'm not the biggest fan of that anime original ending. Like, the idea of zero numbers is cool, but the execution was kinda, Not to mention, they turned Creed into a good guy, and I don't like that. I'm sorry. It just, no. No, you don't just turn the creepy X into the good guy because of a magic bullet. It's not for me. But what is for me, always seeing extra media, i.e. cool video games related to these franchises. Like many 2000 anime Shonen Jump titles, Black Cat didn't just stop at the manga and the anime. It spread across multiple forms of media that helped expand its world and keep fans hooked. And what should be a surprise to literally no one, Black Cat video games were released exclusively in Japan, because of course they were. First up, we have Black Cat Kikai Shikake no Tenshi for the PS2, an action-adventure game that lets players experience Train's story through fast-paced combat and anime-style visuals. And on the DS, you have Black Cat Koroneko no Kansoto, which was a more story-driven adventure game that gave a mixture of visual novel elements with minigames. And while neither game made it overseas, they captured the spirit of the series and offered their fans a chance to step into the world of sweepers and assassins firsthand. And now, while the official Black Cat games never made their way over here, he did make his way into some really cool crossover games on the DS. My guy Train is no stranger to a cool mashup crossover game. And I'm talking about the GOAT DS games, by the way. Jump Superstars in 2005 and Jump Ultimate Stars in 2006. These DS games were crazy. If you ever played them, you already know how much fun these games were, and I wish we got more of these games in the States, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, for the most part, I'd say that's pretty much it. Well, Black Cat never broke into the big three, nor did it have endless arcs or meme-worthy powers, but it had something rare: clarity. At its core, Black Cat wasn't just about assassinations, bounty hunters, or even flashy gunfights. It was about transformation, and not in the generic shonen way, but in something a little bit deeper. It was about learning, even if your past is covered in shadow, you can still choose to live in the light. Train went from childhood killer to man who learned how to smile again. And not just because someone saved him, it was because he learned that it's okay for him to smile and to be a person. And that, in my opinion, makes Black Cat so timeless. It's not just a story about revenge or redemption, it's about change. The kind that doesn't happen overnight, real change that takes time, effort, that takes days, months, and even years. And sometimes it's messy, and sometimes it'll hurt. But when it finally clicks, it's one of the most incredible things in the world. Just like how Train did with his newfound family, and how they're all trying to chase freedom, and figuring out what living on your own terms really means. And we all deserve that same chance, to fall, to grow, to start over, and to define what happiness means for ourselves. So whether you're revisiting the manga, watching the anime for the first time, or even somehow find a way to play the PS2 games, I hope you remember this. You don't have to be the person you were yesterday. You don't even have to have it all figured out today. You just need to keep moving forward, one step, one choice, one day at a time. Because Black Cat reminds us, even the darkest past can lead to a brighter future. And honestly, that's pretty cool. So hey, I'm Remy, and I just want to say, thank you for letting me check on Black Cat. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hype the video and all the other fun stuff, and I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all be easy. Later. Bye. Okay, just yapping at this point. So, I never realized this growing up, but Black Cat is really just like Creed desperately trying to get someone to give him back shots, in like with a bullet, or in another sense, you'll be the judge of that. But it's just like, it's really what this Creed could not take no for an answer and crashed out in the worst way. Bro, Creed was awful. I do not like Creed as a villain. He was just the most overly emotional crash out I've read in a while. And just not great. Just not great. But overall, I think Black Cat's still pretty cool. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. A quick little read. It's not incredibly long. It's not short, but it's also not like crazy long. So if you got some time, if you haven't read it before, go ahead. I think it's a fun ride. Also, when I read what his wife did, dog, that was crazy. I'm like, dude, your wife cheated on you with a high schooler. That's crazy, dog. And look, I'm not, like I said, I'm not condoning venting with drawing fan service out the wazoo for your next series, but like, if it helped the dude cope, I'm not finna tell him no. If that helps you deal with what you got going on, I ain't finna knock it. That's crazy. I feel so bad for Brody. That's crazy. But we're gonna end it there. Once again, thank you guys for watching this. It's a long video, kind of, but I'm glad if anybody made it to this part. Just hear me rambling at the end. I really appreciate y'all if you do get this far. So that'll be it for me. Once again, this is Remy signing out. I will see y'all guys in the next video. Once again, y'all be easy. Later. Bye.